What is up, everybody? Back with another most listened to bands of the month. I didn't do it in January, but I'm back here for what I listened to the most in February. If you haven't seen these yet, I basically go to my Spotify account, the stats feature, and it tells you what you've been listening to the most over the last 4 weeks. I did this pretty much every month last year, I think. I'll do it most of the months this year, I'm sure. I just didn't feel like doing it last month, but February, I'll get right into it here. My number 10 band was Khors. It's Khors. They are a Ukrainian black metal band, been around for a little while now. They were on my top 10 albums of 2020, or my top 10 black metal albums with Where the World Acquires Eternity. Really cool album. A lot of their stuff's really cool, just dark, bleak, eerie, melodic black metal. It's melodic here and there, but really cool stuff. Bliss Forsaken from that most recent album is fantastic. Definitely check them out if you are into black metal. My number 9 for the month, I had LA Guns. Big fan of them. Classic 80s hard rock, glam metal. Love the first couple of albums. A lot of stuff from the 2000s is really good as well. Hollywood Forever, Tales from the Strip. They've been putting out new albums pretty consistently over the last couple of years as well, and I think they got another new one coming out pretty soon here. But great band that I've seen twice live, and they kill it live. Phil Lewis on the vocals, great voice. He still sounds amazing. He's like 65 years old, but his voice is pretty much just as strong as it's ever been. Tracy Gunn's great guitar player. At number 8, Hellripper. Love Hellripper. James McBain. It's his band. He plays all the instruments and does the vocals for the studio stuff. Just came out with a new album, Warlocks Grim and Withered Hags. Fantastic stuff. The Cursed Carrion Crown. My favorite song on that easily. Very heavy, very aggressive. This album, it's a pretty diverse mix of stuff. It mixes in some more traditional sounding moments here and there, but very fast thrash and tints of the black metal per usual from Hellripper. Amazing album. Definitely going to be in my top 10. Definitely check it out if you have not listened to it. And all of James Hellripper's stuff pretty much has been amazing. They're my favorite modern band, so was very happy with that release. Number 7, Benediction, great classic death metal band from England. They've got, like 8 albums, a lot of classic stuff, and there is several bands starting with B here because I've been kind of doing that little series. I started up top 10 metal bands for each letter. So Benediction, I was listening through their stuff again recently. Very heavy, classic death metal. Number 6, I got Death, another great classic death metal band. Love most of their stuff. They're one of those bands where there isn't even a remotely weak album in their catalog. All the releases from Scream Bloody Gore up through The Sound of Perseverance are all amazing. Symbolic is probably my personal favorite. I've got it up on the wall on vinyl. It's just an absolute masterpiece. My favorite death metal album of all time. They got the Death to All tour. I don't know if it started yet, but it's about to be coming up here. I see the ad for it. It's coming through my town in a couple of weeks. I might go to that. It's, from what I understand, just former members of Death playing Death songs. Gene Hoglan on the drums. But that should be really cool for anybody that wants to go see that. Number 5, this band called Satan. It's Saidan. They are they're kind of a hard band to describe. A pretty unique sound. There's some gothic elements and kind of alternative elements, but it's black metal primarily. They have 2 albums. They're from Nashville, Tennessee, which is a bit surprising, but the lyrical themes and theme of the albums are like Japanese horror, which is kind of cool. But check them out. They've got a couple of albums on Spotify, and, I dig it quite a bit. Number 4 is a band that I wasn't too familiar with. They're called Brainstorm, but people were commenting Brainstorm under my top 10 metal bands that start with the letter B. I didn't really know them. Went through their albums, and I really dug their first couple. Unholy, and I forget what the first one's called, but those 2 were really good. And then after that, not too great for me, but those first 2 albums are really good. It's German speed and like power metal mix, but some cool stuff, great guitar work. Number 3, Morbid Angel, another great classic death metal band. Altars of Madness is just absolutely amazing. It's one of my favorite death metal albums, one of my favorite death metal debuts, just super evil. Maze of Torment, just actually I was on a road trip pretty recently and was playing that album a couple of times, and Maze of Torment's just amazing, very heavy, aggressive. Morbid Angel is about to tour through my town as well. There's several bands coming up that I might go to see. Morbid Angel, Death to All, I think the Megadeth thing, or it's the Kings of Thrash, but Jeff Young, David Ellefson and those guys, so I might see that. Also, Hell's Heroes coming up in a couple of weeks, which will be amazing. Number 2, Bethlehem, great band. Onalar from Dark and Nocturne Slaughter Cult. Love her vocals. She has been on their last 2 albums. That's primarily what I really dig from the band, but they got a lot of cool stuff mixed in. It's kind of doom and black metal blended. Very dark, eerie sound from those guys. Super cool band. And number 1 was Belphegor. Great, very heavy Austrian blackened death metal. The earlier stuff leans a bit more towards black metal. There's black metal elements through most of their stuff, but eventually they've leaned into more of a death metal sound. Very heavy. Seen them live a couple of years ago, and it was amazing. They were with Dark Funeral and the band called Hate, but really good show. Great band. Love those guys. And as usual, I'll go through the number 11 through 15, so they were like just out of my top 10, but I got Ted Nugent at number 11. Big fan of Ted. I've mentioned on the channel a lot. He's been in my top 10 albums when I did that, like, of the 70s. Each of the years he put out an album was pretty much in my top 10, and I've listed him as one of my favorite guitar players of all time. Number 12, Inquisition. Great black metal band. They are my favorite black metal band of all time. Love the sound. All the albums are pretty much amazing. Number 13, Achilles, or Achilles again. Not sure exactly how to pronounce their name, but super awesome, kind of atmospheric, very aggressive. Saw those guys at Psycho Las Vegas, and it was a fantastic show. I saw them kind of at one of the smaller venues within the resort that the festival was at, and it was just absolutely mind-blowing. Very heavy, very awesome, great performance. Number 14, Ancient, classic, somewhat underrated and overlooked Norwegian black metal band. They came up in the early mid-90s with a lot of those Norwegian bands, but you don't see them like mentioned as often as like Immortal or Darkthrone. But a couple of those early releases are right up there for me, you know, alongside those bands. And number 15, Cauldron, which is a kind of, you know, traditional sounding metal band that's pretty modern. Kind of reminds me a bit of Skull Fist, but maybe a bit slower, and some like doomy elements there. Not quite like doom metal, but some kind of slower stuff. But really cool band. And that is what I listened to the most over the last month. So as usual, I like to know what you guys have been listening to. So let me know in the comments. And until next time, thank you guys for watching.